I spent 100 days playing this classic RPG, and as you can tell, that game is Fable Anniversary. We didn't just play the base game though. We're playing with a mod called Fable Anniversary Redux, which is basically a big overhaul for Fable, and this mod alone completely alters the entire game. Everything in Fable has been rebalanced, cut content has been restored, and there are even new chests and enemies to fight after you beat the main quest. This isn't a difficulty mod, although it does make the game a bit harder, but this makes any playstyle you want to play as more viable. Enemy resistances have been changed up, so it'll be important as ever to change up your augments. Enemies can now drop their weapons, so if you ever wanted to use a hob weapon you can, or even those weapons the minions use. Once you defeat an enemy, they have a chance to drop those weapons. All in all, this is a very new experience for Fable Anniversary, and I had a blast with this new playthrough. We start out in the town of Oakvale. Our daddy reminded us that our sister had her birthday, and he told us if we performed some good deeds, he'd give us a gold piece for each. So we chatted with this little girl. She was missing her stuffed doll. We then saw this small guy getting his cheeks clapped. So then I beat the snot out of this kid. Nobody bullies my friends. He ended up having the doll Rosie, so we went back to the little girl to drop it off. That was 2 good deeds done now. We then saw a fine looking woman. She was looking for her husband, so it was time to expose this man. I saw him smooching on somebody else behind the house. I refused to lie for him, so I went back to his wife and I hit that snitch card. That was another good deed done. We then ran into a farmer that needed to, take a wee break, so he asked us to protect his assets. But as we were here standing guard, this little kid was badgering us to smash the boxes. I told him hell nah. So the farmer finally came back, and that was another good deed done. It was time to collect our gold so we could buy our sister a birthday present. So we got some gold for being a model citizen of Oakvale. And then I bought a box of sweets from this guy. We had our chocolates, and we still had 1 gold left. So now we went to go meet up with our sister. She was just frolicking in the field, so I gave her the box of chocolates. So now it was time to head home. But as we were trying to go home, bandits attacked. We hit that sneak mode though, and hopped over the fence. The bandits came into Oakvale, and they were murderizing everybody. When everything was finally quiet, we were the only one left. Bodies were strewn about, and the town was on fire. We had to go check on Daddy, and when we got there, we saw him lifeless on the ground. Damn. And then a bandit tried to attack us out of nowhere. What the hell? We were thankfully saved though. We had no choice but to follow this man. So he used his magic teleportation, and we ended up somewhere else. He took us on a nighttime stroll over to the guild, a place where heroes get trained. So we became students and met the guild master. Our guild master showed us to our new quarters, and I know this man's was exhausted, so it was time to get some sleep. We were woken up by our new roommate, Whisper, and now it was our first day of training, so it was time to head to the training grounds. So we made our way across the bridge and met up with the guild master. It was time to learn some of that melee, so we started beating the bricks out of the scarecrow, but these little fists weren't that powerful, so instead we got a stick. Now we used this stick to beat the bricks off this man's. That was better. Our first official lesson was done, except there was a problem in the woods. There were some beetles that needed to be exterminated, but first I went around to collect some apples. So we collected a few of these cooking apples and then went to the guild baker. I agreed to give her some apples, and she rewarded us with that blueberry pie. Oh yeah. Blueberry pie wasn't my favorite type of pie, but it'll have to do. I then went to go check on Maze, where we saw him talking to a mysterious figure, which is a scene I've actually never seen before in the original. When did this happen? What the hell? We eavesdropped on his conversation, and then Maze welcomed us in. We had a short convo, and then we had a chat with these 2 fine fellas. They said they were the fastest people in the guild. I said I could beat them. So we hit the sprint button, and we started making our way downtown. So we got to the demon door, and had to make it back in time. 20 seconds left. We made it back past the bridge with 5 seconds to spare. And then we made it. We beat him by 2 seconds. We got a little gold for our athletic performance. And now it's time to end off this day with some beetle killing. So we went into the guild woods, found the beetles, and started crushing these things. We were hitting them with the stick, and we terminated all of these beetles. We now returned back for the day and underwent years of training. It was now time to complete our final training, so we raced over to our first event. We had some more melee training, but this time with real weapons. So we went to Pound Town on Whisper, until we hit her enough times. We then learned how to block attacks. Now it's time to put both of these in action. We had the final showdown, so I laid the beat down on Whisper. She didn't stand a chance against me, so we beat her cheeks. Her brother was disappointed, my bad. But now it was time for the archery training. We got ourselves a bow, and now we had to hit all 3 targets. So we hit them all spot on. But now it was time for the real lesson. We had to hit 10 points, which we got in the first shot. So our bow training was completed. Next, we had to learn about the ways of the will. But before we went over there, it was time to get a passing grade. So this was our final melee test. It was time to show Whisper no remorse. So we embarrassed her a second time, and we scored ourselves an A+, plus a shiny new weapon. Now it was time to get graded on the archery training. So we went to work. This time we had to score 136. We exceeded the score, earning ourselves an A+ and a new crossbow. Now it was time for the Magicka training. So we hit these scarecrows with our new Sith powers until we ended up passing. We had now passed all of the Guildmaster's training, but we still needed an A+ for the will training. So we waited for the instructor. We underwent the test and we showed our magical prowess. We ended up passing and ended up just receiving a will potion. What the hell? After passing all of our tests, we took on a job from this fine fella. We had to kill the sparrows around the guild. So we got the job done. So we received our gold bonus. It was time to go play with Whisper in the woods. And upon entering, we saw some bandits. Oh hell nah. We had to take these bandits out. So we shot his head clean off. We gave his partner the same treatment. And then of course we saved the best for last. These bandits were dead. We went across the stream and found a hero's axe, but it wasn't a weapon I could actually use. Damn, only sell. So now we went back to talk to the guildmaster. It was now time to progress to our final training. We needed to leave the guild behind and finally start our hero's adventure. We were now on the final test, so we entered the guild woods one last time. We had to fight Maze with all of our abilities to pass. So we started off with melee, beating this man's cheeks. Next up, we had to use the bow. And then lastly, our Magicka. We passed our final test. So now it was time to have that graduation station. We graduated with the highest of honors and officially graduated, giving us our guild sealed. We were now official heroes, and it was now time to go out into the real world. We distributed our first few skill points. Before we left the guild though, we opened up our first demon door with our lamp. We got a few potions, a few tattoos, and a few good books. It was now time to pick up our first quest, so we took on the Wasp Menace. And we finally left the guild for the first time, and within seconds, this guy came down panicking. They were being attacked by the Wasp Menace. We had to take some time to fart on this man's though. We needed to scare him off. We gave this man a laugh, and now it was back to serious business. We had people dying, so we made it to the picnic area, and there were wasps everywhere. They were giving people the business, and some people had already died. Damn, it was time to take these out. So we swat these wasps down, playing baseball in Albion, and I don't remember there being this many wasps. Damn. After a few swings of the blade though, Mama Wasp came to play. These wasps just kept on coming though. Damn. I think these bosses were revamped or something. We gave the boss some of that lightning, got in close and started slicing, and eventually we were able to bring this wasp down. Damn. The picnic citizens came in to congratulate me. We've done our first heroic task. We picked up the remains of the stuff on the picnic tables, since these dead guys wouldn't need them anyway. And now it was time to visit Bowerstone. Maze was waiting to talk, so we met up with Maze. He told us about some dark forces gathering, and that we needed to be ready for anything. He also told us that my sister might have survived that bandit attack back in Oakvale. This was some pretty good news. For now, it was time to get rid of our kid cut, so we got our normal haircut. Now we were looking like a man. We then went to go see if we could buy some armor, but there's no way we could afford these prices. Damn. This little girl told us to follow her for some reason. Her mom explained that her boy ate some weird mushrooms. She was asking if I could find the cure for her. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. For now, I needed some more gold, so I went back to the guild. We picked up a quest to protect Orchard Farm. We even did a little boasting. So we entered the Great Woods to head over to the farm, and it seemed Whisper was our opponent. I was protecting, and she was attacking. She must want to get her cheeks clapped for round 2. For now, we had to battle our way through bandits, and these guys almost took me out immediately. Damn. We definitely needed to be careful, so we finished off the last of the bandits, and then we successfully made our way into Greatwood Lake. We had a few bandits we took out from a distance, a few wasps to take out, and then the path was finally clear to the farm. At Orchard Farm, we had a small guard brigade. These guards would help us out, but we were charged for protecting these assets. Bandits were coming in, and I was here to stop them. So we shot these waves of bandits, trying to stop them from entering the warehouse. And this first wave went down easily. That man's dead. We had to be prepared for wave 2. So we shot the first one down, and then sliced and diced the last 2. We were doing phenomenal so far. The third wave of bandits came, and we gave them the same treatment, slicing and dicing. We even ended up picking up a hunting knife. Damn, that's a new weapon. So we used that to slice these guys down. We even found a scimitar too. Damn, we were getting loaded with gear. And this thing was pretty huge. Now it was time to face the big bad boss Whisper. So we used our new weapon to crush her. We beat her cheeks worse than at the guild, and she was forced to retreat. We had successfully completed our second quest. The farm was safe from tyranny, but we still needed some armor. So we used one of the oldest tricks in the book. Sleep in a bed, but then run outside so you don't get caught. That's my favorite. We still didn't have enough money for armor though. Damn, at least nothing good. So we hopped back into our graduate outfit. We picked up a few new quests. So we headed on over to these quests to make more gold. And this new weapon was absolutely slaying. One-shotting these bandits. Our next quest was a hob killing contest. And for some reason this farmer hired Whisper, the same person who was trying to attack his assets. What the hell? Nevertheless, I wouldn't lose to this woman. Whisper was going down once again. So we started dicing these hobs up. We were taking a decisive lead, and in the end, Whisper just couldn't keep up. Another quest in the bag. Our next quest brought us to the Dark Woods. We had to escort these traders over to Barrow Fields, and these woods were dangerous. We then saw a man that was scratched by a balverine. I let this man follow us. I knew I'd get him back in time to save this man's life. Soon we ran into an actual balverine though. Damn. It was time for our sword to have a taste, so we started hacking and slashing this thing, and we took it out actually really quick. Damn, this sword was powerful. We made our way across the swamp into the next area, and at the lake were some bandits trying to ambush us. We even found ourselves some leather boots. Now we were talking. We sliced down the ambushes, and there was not a scratch on these traders yet. We were doing our job diligently. A few of our traders got whacked though. Damn, I didn't even see those bandits. We then did the oldest trick in the book and shot this hole, giving us a silver key. I like that. We pressed on to Darkwood Camp, where we rested up and got some supplies. With the traders all healed up, it was time to move back on out, so we went deeper into the dark woods, encountered a few more bandits, sliced down these bandits, and then we finally made it to the final area. The last few remaining bandits were slain. I told these guys to wait for now, and I went in to fight the troll. So we dodged the rocks, went in for a few slashes, and then dodged back. We rinsed and repeated this process until this man went down. Bye-bye, troll. But at the last minute, this man transformed into a balverine. Damn, I was only a few seconds away, so we had to slay him. Sorry, dog, I tried my best. We had to slay our friend. We now made it to Barrow Fields, and these traders were happy as hell. They survived the ordeal, and we delivered them successfully. Now Maze wanted to talk again, so we made it to the town where it all started. We met the girl we gave the teddy bear to, reliving past memories, and then we finally met up with Maze. He told us about a bandit clan nearby, and that I needed to find the seeress in the middle of it all. So our next major goal was to infiltrate that clan. Maze even told us this was the clan that attacked our village. Damn, we had to get that revenge. But first we had to buy some armor. We finally had enough. So now we were looking a little spiffy. I like that. It was now time to take on the bandit Cirrus. So we hopped on over back to Oakville and went over to the clifftop path. We had to sneak our way in. So we moved stealthily, made it past the first guard, but there were still 2 more to go. We ended up getting caught. Damn. So we had to bust these guards down, and then had to wait for the new ones to come out. This time we took the high ground on the side. The guards came back out, and then I hopped right over the gate. Did we cheat? I don't think so. Either way, we made it. We then overheard a group of bandits. We needed the full bandit ensemble if we wanted to get in. So we went on the search for a few pieces of clothing. Of course, slaying a few bandits on the way. We found our first pair of clothing, a silver key chest. I think that's a new location, right? We found our second piece, eventually our third, and then eventually we got our last piece. We killed the rest of these bandits. We infiltrated the bandit camp with our new disguise. I hired this man to help me out, and then I decided to lay waste to these bandits. They eventually unlocked the door and sent in reinforcements. Perfect. Now I didn't have to spend any money, so we zipped on through the gate and made it into the elite camp. We then did the same thing here. and lay waste to these bandits. We then released some prisoners, and these women created a distraction, opening the gate to the next area. We then made our way to Twinblade's tent. It was time to meet the man in charge, and this was a big man. It was time to fight now, so it was time to dodge his attacks and wait for an opening to attack his back. We went away slashing and hacking, dodging left and dodging right. This man was just too slow. We eventually brought him to his knees though, and then we saw our little sister. She was the blind seeress. She convinced me not to kill this man, so in order to honor her memory, I decided to spare him, but not before taking his loot. So I ransacked his tent, and then I left in grace, completing the quest. It was now time to return to the guild. Before we went to go and see Maze at the guild, we spent a few hours questing. So we became the fishing champion, earning this hat. We now have a few investment properties in Bowerstone and Oakville, and we even found a few silver keys. We conquered a few demon doors, which earned us this nice weapon. And I gotta tell you, this anniversary Redux mod has a lot of content added. There's some creatures at one of these demon doors that I've never seen before. But now it was time to finally hit up Maze. So we went to go speak with our man. We told him what went down at Twinblade's camp. Maze now gave us a quest in Witchwood. We needed to find a guy called the Archaeologist. So we took the quest card and we set out for the Witchwood Cullis Gate. So we moseyed our way through this place collecting treasure, did a little fishing, and then encountered a new monster, the Rock Troll. This was the same strategy though. Keep attacking until you had to go back, and then attack some more. So we were able to finish off this troll pretty quick. We eventually landed at a puzzle where we spelled the word shit, and then were immediately attacked by balverines. But we had a few new spells in our books, which ended these guys quickly. We eventually got the right combination, thus opening the demon door. Inside we found the Archaeologist. We learned that a guy named Jack of Blades was interested in his research, so he was kind of on the chopping block. For now the quest was completed though, so afterwards we explored Witchwood a little bit more. We made ourselves a hefty donation, earning us a new weapon, and then we went up here to see if we were strong enough to pull the sword. So we hit that tug, and we weren't able to do it, not yet at least. We made our way through Witchwood Lake, and then we made it to Knothole Glade, but the town was barred shut. There were balverines everywhere. We needed to do a guild quest in order to help them out, so for now we headed back to the guild. We now had the White Balverine quest, which is just what we needed to help out Knothole Glade. So we headed back to the village, where there were villagers trying to get in. They wouldn't open the gates though. There were balverines about, so we had to take them out first. So we did what we did best, and slayed these monsters. Waves of balverines came, but they all fell to my hammer. And now it was safe enough to finally enter the village. We ended up meeting the chief, and that's when the white balverines showed up. Damn, we had to take this man's out, but our attack wasn't doing any damage. What the hell? We just had to do our best to try and ward it off, and it eventually fled. We needed to find a way to actually hurt this balverine, but as soon as we went to go talk to the hunter's wife, the balverine came back. It was time to go to Pound Town again, so we pounded him until he ran again. We ended up finding this white balverine was her husband. What the hell? Thankfully she knew the weakness though. It was the silver augmentation. Luckily she had one on hand, and luckily I had a weapon with a silver augmentation already. So we went to battle again, dishing out some actual damage now. The balverine finally fled the village. With the balverine on the run, we had to go and hunt it down. So we chased after it down at the lake. This would be its final resting place. So we went in doing that silver damage, and then he decided to call for backup. Backup didn't matter though, because we had the skills to pay the bills. And he ended up getting stuck on the rock, so I just went in for Pound Town. Damn. We eventually landed the last blow and collected his head. The balverine was now slain, and now Knothole Glade was safe. And now we had a nomination for the arena, my favorite quest. We invested in some new armor, bought ourselves an investment property, and then headed back to the guild to invest some experience. We bought a few new spells, and now it was time to do the arena. So we finally made our way to the arena. The guard was nice enough to show us around a bit, and then he showed us the area where we can prep. So we made it to the prep room. This man explained the rules. Now we had to wait for our name to be called. So while we waited, we did a little training. Finally, it was our turn though. So we talked to Al to get entrance. And now we are on to the first round. It was time to show our prowess and our strength as a hero. Our first challenge was wasps, but wasps were no challenge nowadays. So we quickly eliminated them all. Too easy. Now it was time for round 2. This time we had to take on Hobbs. So we took out the magic ones first to take out the range attacks, and then took out the rest. Wave 2 came, but the strategy was no different. Eventually they all fell. Hobbs were too easy too. It was time for round 3, and this time we had a teammate. Our good friend Whisper came to join. This time we had to face balverines, but we had plenty of experience with these guys now. I'm just wondering how they got their hands on a white balverine. What the hell? All the balverines fell though, advancing us to the next round. We were now fighting the undead, and this first swarm wasn't too bad. We eventually flew through this undead round, so now we advanced to the bandit round. These bandits had a taste of my magic, as well as the front end of my hammer, and these guys fell. Another round in the bag. The crowd was going wild, and now it was time to face the troll pair. So we bust up the first one real quick, and of course we didn't leave the second one out either. The next round was the same, but with the rock trolls. So we took the first one down, and then rushed over to the second to help out Whisper. Both trolls were now defeated, and now it was time for the final match. It was a giant scorpion. Damn, I actually forgot about this boss, but we knew the weakness. It was right here. So we went to Pound Town before we went underground. We took out his minions, and then we rinsed and repeated. We finally landed the last blow, and this man melted into the ground. We had become champions, but now there was a bonus round. Jack of Blades proposed one final round. It was a fight to the death, and Whisper was getting embarrassed once again. I kind of felt bad for her. I had bested Whisper, and now I had one final decision. I couldn't do it to her, at least not this playthrough, so we let her live. We then caught a glimpse of the hottest lady in town, Lady Grey. She wanted me to pay her a visit, and of course I had to accept. This man's was mad at me though. I was taking his lady. I now decided to put on my best outfit and go visit Lady Grey in Bowerstone North. So we used our champion seal to get in, and we were promptly greeted by the chief. Now it was time to make her debut. So we chatted with Lady Grey, and my, she was fine. So we followed her into the gardens. She had herself a nice crib, and she told us she was looking to marry. She said only someone who could conquer the arena could conquer her. Ooh la la. But first she wanted a gift. Thankfully I knew she loved black roses, so she was very impressed. She then needed to know I had money, so I told her I had 3 houses already. Now she had one more task for me. She had lost the necklace, and now I was on investigative duty to find it. I would do anything for my girl, so I questioned people around town. We eventually found some information. We heard somehow it was in Oakville, so we went to location and dug it up. We went to go give it to Lady Grey. Wait, that's not her. She was very impressed. Now we had one final task. Whisper's brother was still trying to take my girl, so now it was time to really suit up. We met Thunder on the outside of town. We had to meet him at the executioner's block up on the hill. So on the way we fought through some undead, bust down a few barrels, opened a few chests, and eventually we made it to the top. It was Thunder versus I, and I was about to embarrass this whole family. This man was trying to use his signature move on me, but I wasn't just some monster he could slay. He was gonna learn today. This man got so frustrated, he tried to kill us both by knocking us off the cliff. He was trying to fight dirty, so it was time to really finish this man. But he had one final resolve. He went to go run and hide in the cave, so I hit a little fishing first, picked up a silver key, and then I followed him inside. This would be the final battle, and once again, his family was embarrassed. He admitted defeat, and Lady Grey was now mine. It was now time to give Lady Grey the news, and once she found out, we immediately got married. I now had my girl, Lady Grey. Since I was now married to the mayor of Bowerstone, I went to go check out my new home, and this place was looking spicy. Even the bed was kind of zesty, holding a silver key for me. Now that I was married to Lady Grey, I had one more place to visit, which coincidentally my sister was there too. Our sister told us where our mother was. She was being held prisoner by the Jack of Blades, and you know we had to go save our mom. So she left us the quest card to go rescue her. We were able to open up the demon door since we were now married to Lady Grey, and we were able to score ourselves a legendary axe. We now had a mission over at Hob Cave. A little boy had gone missing, and now I had to go and find him. We had a date with this demon door just by basically giving him some chocolates. Now it was time to enter the cave to find this little boy. We ended up hopping into this side room where we had to kill some hobs, and then we released one of their prisoners. He was here to search for some treasure, so I allowed him to come with me. Together we fought even more hobs, and eventually we made it to the main chamber. This boy was being held prisoner by a magical imp. We were then given an option to replace this bandit with the kid. I opted to say yes since I've never done it before, and I knew this bandit would just double cross me in the long run. I'd made sure to take out this thing anyway. I didn't like the way it was snickering. So we fought through the remaining hordes of these hobs, protecting the boy and the bandit until we finally made it outside. Once we made it out, I gave this bandit his gold, and then we popped back over to Granny's house. We completed the quest and dropped the boy off, but as soon as this boy picked up his stuff, he ran off again. Poor Granny. We then went to go help find a lost trader. The trader had been lost in the bandit camp, so we had to do our duty to bring him back alive. And in order to do that, we of course had to slay some bandits. So we fought our way back through Twinblade's camp until we reached the trader in despair. We now had to get him back to safety, so we whacked these bandits, horde after horde, until we finally got him back to his friend. Another quest complete. Now it was time to break the siege at Knothole Glade. Bandits were here trying to infiltrate. Knothole had captured their boss, and they basically just wanted him back, but we don't bargain with terrorists. So I decided to slaughter all of these bandits. These guys were getting nowhere close to their boss, so we quickly eliminated them. The chief congratulated us, and that was another quest complete. We now had another rescue mission. The archaeologist was kidnapped, and now we had to rescue him. So we went in fighting these new enemies, and these guys were doing some damage on me, damn. But we still sent him to Pound Town. We fought our way through though, until we reached the coast. The archaeologist was in sight. We eventually made our way all the way to the bottom, rescuing the archaeologist. He then told us how to get to this prison my mother was in, so it's a good thing we saved him. That was quest complete. There were a few new quests at the guild now. Our next quest was to protect this escort. Bandits were trying to free their boss, so I was their security. We were quickly ambushed, and then the bandits were quickly taken out. There were plenty of bandits that tried, but they all failed. We eventually made it to the executioner's block, where we had to deal with one final horde of bandits. We took these guys out, and now it was time to receive justice. The bandit leader was brought to the block, and he was sliced up. Another quest completed. Just another area over was the Litchfield graveyard. We needed to find out how to get through these old kingdom gates, but in order to do that, we needed to collect a couple pieces. So we went to the graveyard to find some pieces of armor. We went grave digging. We went crypt delving, and we went fishing until we finally found all of the pieces. When we finally did find everything, we suited his corpse up, and the way forward unveiled itself. The demon door opened right up, and now it was time to take the old graveyard path. There were seemingly endless hordes of the undead here, so we were getting a butt ton of experience. We made it through though, and now made it to the circle of the dead. We now had to complete the ceremony by killing the undead while they're in the circle. So we went to slay these guys, binding their souls to this circle. We finished the ritual, and now the way into the prison revealed itself. We needed to head back to the guild first though. The next quest we received was to free some hostages, so we made our way through Bowerstone. The townsfolk of Bowerstone had been taken by some bandits hiding out in the Great Woods. So we made it to the entrance of the Great Woods, and one of the hostages escaped. She told us that the bandits were inside, so we went in after them, and the bandits decided to go and split up. I needed to hunt down the hostages one by one, so I began shooting down the ones that were left behind, because I'm absolutely loving this crossbow. Damn. We decided to rescue the hostage at Fisher's Creek first. If I got close to this bandit, he would chop up the hostage, so I had to hit him with a sniper shot. That bandit went down instantly, but then we were ambushed by his minions. We decided to take them out too. One hostage had been rescued. We then went to Greatwood Lake, where the prisoner was begging for her life. We had to take out these minions first, and then we had to hit him with a sniper shot. So we took this man out. Oh no. And we took out the hostage, so we had to hit that reload. We had to change our bow for this one, and this time we successfully took him out. We successfully saved the last target, and that was quest complete. We now had a disturbance in Darkwood to check out, so we headed over to the site. Another hero was here, and she explained the situation. There was an ancient ceremony about to begin, and we needed to disable it. So we had to take out the guardians first, and then once we got close enough, I needed to protect her while she tried to disable this. So I put on my best defense and started smashing these bad guys. Nobody could get past my inflame spell though. I was cheating the system. We eventually fended him off long enough, and she disabled the ritual. Another quest complete. It was finally time to rescue our mom now, so we headed back to the graveyard. We made it back to the ritual site and entered the door that we opened up before. We entered the sewers now, and we just followed the path given. The only resistance we had were some undead so far. Things seemed a bit too easy to be a prison so far, but we eventually made it to where we ran into security guards now. Now we were on the right path, so we made our way through this underground passage, and then eventually we found our mom. She had in fact been in the prison. It was time to set moms free. All we had to do now was escape, so we went back in the passage and started taking out anybody who stood in our way, because mom was coming home today. We soon realized, however, it was a trap all along. Damn. Jack of Blades had set us up, and now he had two heroes. We were now taken prisoner. I was now just a bald man in jail. Damn. They didn't even let me keep my hair. We had to figure out how to get out of here. Fortunately, we talked to our cellmate. He told us that once a year, there was a little race the warden liked to do. So if we won that, we would have a chance. So we had to wait patiently for this tournament to begin. Race day came though, and it was time to leave these poor sobs in the dust. So we decided to take a decisive lead. Nobody was gonna come even close to us. So you already know we won. Now we had a date with the warden, and this guy was kind of soft. He wanted me to just sit here while he recited something, so I had to sneak my way in, find out the code, and then figure out the right book. This diary was empty. Damn. We spent another year in jail, being tortured and brutalized. At least we had hair now though. We now waited for race day again, so we quickly won race day again, and then we had another chance for the book, so we got the new combo, and then we chose another book. Thankfully, with the key inside, it was time to escape now, so we used the key to open the prison, plus open up a few barrels to find a stick, and then we started releasing everybody. It was time for a prison riot, so while those prisoners distracted the guard, I went to go get my supplies, so I got my supplies and a handy prison uniform to blend in. The only thing was it didn't work, but we now had the means to escape. So we helped the rest of the prisoners by taking out the guards, and then I went back for my mom. We definitely couldn't leave her behind, so we fought our way through this prison until we made it to the exit. It was another trap, and the Kraken was here to stop us. Damn, we had to take down each of these tentacles, so we dodged their attacks, smashed them, and then we shot this thing with our bow. We did round 2 with the tentacles, and then we sent this man flying. Nobody messes with my mama. We then hurried on out before we got trapped again, so we successfully saved our mom, and now we both had to work together so we could stop Jack from getting the ultimate sword. So we split ways for now. It was now time to catch back up at the guild, spend some experience points, and see what new quests were available. We were headed to the next quest now, but first we needed to get our hair nice and right, so we got shaped up real quick. We also went back to the Temple of Light to see if we were strong enough to finally pull the sword out, so we gave it one last tug, and this time we got the blade out. Now we're talking. We now had ourselves a nice blade. Now since our next quest was in Bowerstone North, I went to go and give my wife a visit. She was doing fine. So now that marital affairs were in order, it was time to get the details on the bandit spy extraction. We needed to extract a spy. He infiltrated a group of bandits, and we needed to get him out alive. So we went in to extract this spy. We just had to find the right guy first. We found him at the top of the hill, so it was time to get this man out successfully. But then these other traitors started to bash on us. What the hell? We had to take them out too. So we had this man on the runs. We just had to be wary of ambushes now. We had to slaughter many guards, but at the end of the day, we got this man back home safe and sound. We were now back on the main path. We needed to activate an ancient gate. This forest was absolutely packed with balverines though, damn. But for now, that wasn't our issue. We needed to feed this gate with the souls of the undead, so we had to slay enough of these guys. The gate was fed, and now the way forward to Hook Coast was open. We were now in the land of snow, and my first thing I did in town was upgrade my rental portfolio. We would be living large in this house. Just look at that view. We then broke into the lighthouse so we could search the cabinets for stuff like this. And at the top was a 15 silver chest with a more powerful weapon. Now we're really talking. We finally made it to the Abbey though, but it was sealed shut. For now we had to go back to the guild. We needed to meet our mom over in Mace's quarter. And as she was speaking to us on the guild seal, we started hearing screaming. My mom was in trouble again. So we made our way up, and she was now another prisoner. She was then teleported out of there. Damn. She was talking about some book though, so we grabbed it off the table. Before she was teleported though, my mom somehow left a guild card, so we took the quest card from the guild master himself. We had to return to Hook Coast now, And when we arrived, it was being attacked by the undead. This was definitely going to drive the rental property down. I needed to exterminate these guys. So we fought our way through these peeps until we made it back to the barrier. The guildmaster started speaking magical words, and now we were inside the barrier, where we saw the one and only Maze. He had my sister, and he was up to no good. Now I had to take out the guy who saved me long ago. Maze did some kind of ritual for the Jack of Blades, giving this man the key to find the sword. It was now too late, but that doesn't mean we have to stop trying. So I beat this man's cheeks, and then he started cheating my own spell. The hell? He started running away though, to try and hit me from range, but I always caught up to him and kept laying down that smackdown. He eventually escaped to the lighthouse, but he couldn't hide for long. This man was mad annoying with that shield of his, so I had to put one on myself, and then eventually Maze suffered his last blow. He was no hero, he was just a coward. The guildmaster needed a word now. Jack was now trying to activate some focus sites. The onslaught wasn't stopping. All of the heroes were on call now. It was time to stop the activation process. So we first ran through the Witchwoods, only to find out we were too late for this one. We moved on to the second gate. We had to at least try to stop the second one. But again, we were too late. Third time's the charm, right? So this time we rushed through the Hob Cave, and we rushed back to that area where we saved that kid long ago. It was still too late. Damn. We had only one more chance now, so we raced our way to the final site. Again, we were too late, and she had my mom captive. We came back to the guild with everything destroyed. If I couldn't stop Jack, everything would be over. Jack even killed the guildmaster. This wasn't good. This man's last words were to stop Jack. I had to honor him. So we went in for the final showdown, started busting up his minions, and then started busting up him, or at least trying to. This man had a lot of health, but I had a lot of potions. We eventually whittled him down to half health, and then he started to fly. We just had to shoot him down now. And I had one of the most powerful crossbows. We shot him down in 2 strikes. Jack was dead, dissipated into thin air, and now my sister was free. And now we had a choice. Leave now swordless, or take the sword and kill my sister. There was only one real choice for this playthrough. We've been playing the good guy all along, so we had to dispose of the sword. Jack of Blades had been defeated. Our mom was finally resting in peace. And then we find out Jack may not be dead after all. We had a hero that went away to a far land. There was another dark force at bay, and he needed some help. Of course I had to check it out. These guys looked evil. Before we went though, we had to prove to this demon door we were worthy. Jack of Blades' mask was proof enough, so he opened on up, and inside we met some prophets. They spoke of a beast that has risen in the frozen norths, and I was the only one who could stop him. We first had to solve a puzzle though. We successfully solved the puzzle, but we had more to solve. Damn. But the next one was no problem. And then the third one was no different. We now had one more to go. And as you could probably tell, this one was solved with ease. Once all the puzzles were solved, we received the Fire Heart. The guildmaster told us about another sword now, one to rival the Blade of Aeon. The clues were in Maze's quarters, so that's where we were heading next. And in this chamber we found a book, and this told us about a potential location of the blade. When we investigated, we were judged by the souls of this blade, and we were judged worthy. We now had Evil's Tear. We were really about to lay the beat down now. Before we went over to this new land though, we had to make sure our finances were right. So we did a total property takeover of Oakvale, as well as Knothold Glade. We were now swimming in riches, even though we had to do an evil deed or two. But now it was time to head to Hook Coast. We needed to put the Fireheart in the lighthouse. It seemed that one of our newest rental properties was making a great income, but we made it to the top of the lighthouse. We inserted the Fireheart, and then we waited for the ship to arrive. But we had enemies inbound. These guys were trying to destroy the Fireheart, so we had to do our duty and take these guys out. One was down, but more were on the way. So we continued taking these guys out until the last of them were destroyed. The Fireheart reached full power, and the ship was inbound. So now it was time to take our maiden voyage. We set out to this new land and landed in the northern wastes. We met the hero who told us about this place. I had to go meet him in the village now so that we could get to work. So we searched the shores for a bit, looking for any treasures we could find. But we eventually got on the right path. But the path was blocked by a frost troll. So of course we had to take this thing out. And what better way to take an ice troll out but with fire? We made sure this man melted. We now made it to the northern foothills, where we had some undead and minions to take out. We pushed past these enemies though, and met back up with our friend. We now found ourselves at an ancient ritual site. She was headed back to the guild to see if she could transcribe these ruins. I had to push on towards the village, so we finally made it to Snowspire village, where we met our hero friend. We walked and talked through the village, and he filled us in on everything. We needed to speak to these ruins, but in order to do so, we needed to collect glyphs. So on the search we went. We first had to peruse the town first though, to see what kind of items we could buy. We ended up finding a new property, adding to our portfolio once again. And now it was time to find these glyphs. So we destroyed a few enemies, including these new ice balverines and these undead troll looking things, until we made it to the next area. We now found ourselves in the old town, where there were nothing but ghosts and creatures that lived here. So we searched through this undead village, digging up graves, until we eventually found the last glyph. We went back to Snowspire village and put these glyphs to action. The oracles told us that Jack of Blades was indeed here, and he was more powerful than ever. It was time to consult Briar Rose again, to see if she made some headway at the shrine. She figured out the way forward, and now we needed to check on some leads. So now we went to go visit our good friend Thunder in Knothole Glade. He told us that the souls of past arena champions were at the arena itself, so we would go there to capture our hero soul. Upon making it to the arena, the spectators had been killed. Damn, something was going on. During the cutscene, we were getting attacked from the back. Thankfully, we didn't die though. We now had to collect an arena soul, so we continued killing these monsters until we finally got what we came for. We still needed 2 more souls though. We made it back to the shrine and inserted our first hero soul. It seemed that the shrine used the souls to power itself, but now it was time to find the second soul. Our second soul was our mother, so we had to go back to our hometown graveyard, and the place was already overrun. We had to take out the screamers first, so we quickly sliced them down. Once the screamers were taken care of, her soul was released. We now had our second soul, so we powered the shrine with it, and now Briar had transcribed the third one. We now needed the oldest soul. We needed help with this one, so we went back to the guild. The acolytes gave us some information. It was the soul we've spoke to before, so we went back to Litchfield Graveyard. We needed to capture Nordstrom's soul, so we made it deep enough into the graveyard and had to fight Nordstrom himself. We needed to best him in order to gain his soul. So we went into combat and we started beating him down. This man's had a lot of health, so we went berserk. We finally had beat him, gaining our third soul. We powered up the shrine with it, and now it was fully activated. It was now time to face Jack. The door forward had opened up, and it was time to lay Jack of Blades to rest permanently. Jack had finally shown himself though, fully transformed into a dragon. It was time to bust him down, so we went in, slashing his head. We equipped our favorite crossbow, and now it was time to shoot Jack down. We had no choice but to go berserker mode on this man. We had to deal the most amount of damage, so after a few rounds of berserk, he was less than half health. We eventually though, landed our last hit. Jack had fallen. We had absorbed his soul, and now we had to destroy Jack's mask. So we launched into the river of lava, and the world was saved once again. The evil that had been plaguing Albion was now gone, and now a peaceful revolution could start. All was now good in Albion. There was no more evil present, until Fable 4 comes out, that is.